There are pains you only understand after turning 50. They don't shout, but they weigh heavy. You do everything as always. Coffee, routine, silence, and yet something still feels missing, as if part of you stayed far behind in a time you can no longer reach. Then that quiet, cruel question surfaces. Is this life truly mine, or merely the echo of someone else's story I never chose? Sometimes, without realizing, we inherit not just the furniture, but the fears, the silences, even the unfinished dreams of those who came before us. Today, I want to show you that this can change, that perhaps this pain isn't the end, but the first step towards a life that is finally yours. Stay with me till the end, because what you feel isn't just yours, but it could be your new beginning. She would say softly, some things were not women's business once you're married, as if simply daring to desire was a kind of betrayal, and you grew up hearing it without realizing, absorbing it like air, unwittingly collecting those lines like commandments, silent rules, written in fear. Today, you still find yourself explaining, still feel guilty for wanting what's yours, for having needs nobody taught you to name, as if truly living were too much. Emotional inheritance doesn't come in a will. It arrives in suppressed gestures, repeated self-denial, that fear of inconveniencing, even when you are the one hurt. And the cruelest part is, you didn't choose it. You just inherited it. It's like being handed a chest full of fragile china, memories that aren't yours, yet you feel you mustn't break them. So you keep tending them, keep avoiding the noise, keep shrinking yourself to fit a story not written by you. But here's a gentle truth. The guilt you inherited is not your responsibility. It isn't who you are. It's just something that needs to be returned. With love, without blaming, without burning bridges, but returning it respectfully because it doesn't belong to your soul. You might still think that's ingratitude, but it's not. It's maturity. It's like looking your mother in the eyes, on the inside, and saying, Mom, I understand, but I'm going to move forward differently. That gesture doesn't hurt. It frees. Grab pen and paper, not now, but when you're ready, and write down the phrases you still repeat, but have never truly agreed with. Phrases that slipped into your being without permission, and may already be ready to leave. You can honor those who came before you, without losing sight of yourself, because taking a different path is not disrespect. It's gratitude, with open doors, and a free soul. She didn't speak her truths, not because she didn't feel, but because she learned that feeling was dangerous. You grew up witnessing that. Words swallowed mid-sentence, joy stifled so as not to disturb, desire left hanging like washing no one ever brings in. And gradually, you learned the same thing. You turned down the volume on your emotions until only the outside noise remained. Today, you may be surrounded by people, yet feel truly unheard. Perhaps because above all, you stopped listening to yourself first. This doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow disappearance, a voice fading, until you've forgotten its sound. You become a character who learned to survive with the mute button on, and eventually, you don't even remember what you like, what soothes you, what brings warmth. You perform roles, you meet expectations, but your presence within yourself has become rare. The emotional memory of silence is deceiving. It convinces you that feeling too much is weakness, that speaking up is excessive, that being yourself is risky. But that's not balance, it's absence. And what if what you call peace is just the absence of yourself? You don't need to shout to hear yourself again. Simply carve out a small space, intimate, honest. 5 minutes maybe, nothing to fix, but to name what you feel. Write without judgment, feel without apology, sit in silence, but a silence that holds you, not erases you, because your voice, even when quiet, still lives within. It's just waiting for a safe place to return. She took care of everyone, with sure hands, ready gestures, a busy heart. She cared so much, she forgot herself. And you learned to mirror, not out of obligation, but because for her, to love meant slowly fading away, You grew up believing being tireless was beautiful, that saying no was unkind, and that always saying yes was the only way to prove love. But there's a point where care becomes self-forgetting, where love twists into guilt, and your name ends up last on the list. How many times have you said, "I'm fine," when you'd long passed your limit? How many times have you served others and consumed the leftovers of yourself? That isn't generosity, it's self-abandonment disguised as affection. And the hardest truth is that self-abandonment teaches us to feel indispensable, because deep down, there's a fear, the fear of not being needed if we stop. But to love isn't to disappear, to care isn't to burn out. True love, the kind that sustains, also knows how to say, "Not today, I can't. Today I need me." We need to relearn, with gentleness, with courage, because giving ourselves away mustn't mean we leave ourselves behind. And saying yes all the time no longer fits a soul that yearns to flourish. The most beautiful care you can give now is not to forget yourself, not even for those you love most. Your body has been asking for this for years, your soul too. Now it's just a matter of you listening, with a bit more kindness and a bit less guilt. You live on autopilot, doing what you've always done, following the same old path. But inside, something feels empty. It's not sadness, exactly. It's like your soul has gone to sleep, as if your presence in the world has become just a function. You give, you commit, you anticipate, but deep down, it's rarely for yourself. Maybe you never learned to live just for you. Maybe you fear that if you stop repeating, you'll be forgotten, rejected, invisible. Your mother had that fear too, the fear that she'd lose her worth if she stopped being needed. She erased herself in the name of love, and you inherited that logic, thinking that to be accepted, you had to stay the same. But here's a truth that might hurt, and also free you. Living the same doesn't guarantee belonging, it only guarantees repetition. And if sameness is the only way to be accepted, where are you in all of this? Love that demands your disappearance isn't love, it's conditioning, and the fear that keeps you from changing doesn't come from now. It comes from the emotional memory of not being enough. You need to find a space, even a small one where you can choose for yourself, without asking permission, without seeking applause. A simple choice begins to break the cycle, saying, "Today, I want this. Today, I won't go. Today, I choose me." Because deep down, what you most need isn't to prove you deserve love. It's to remember you never had to disappear to earn it. You're still here, even if you've forgotten a bit, even if the world convinced you your worth lies in others. But now, it's time to remember, gently, truthfully. You spent your life trying to be loyal. Loyal to your mother's story, to the pain she never spoke of, to the dreams she hid behind her daily tasks. And now, every time you think about changing, there's a tightness in your chest, as if being different from her were a kind of betrayal. But maybe what she most wanted, and never could, is exactly what you still have the chance to live. Being different isn't denying who she was. It's finally letting love become continuity, not confinement. There's something sacred in breaking the cycle, not with anger, not with guilt, but with respect for all she endured. Without choice, you don't have to erase any. You just need to make room for what's yours, to clear the mirror of the story, and finally see your own whole face. Because yes, there is a version of you still unlived, a version not born of inherited fear, but of a truth that's been quietly waiting for the right moment to bloom. And that moment could be now, even with wrinkles, even with fear, even with everything you think you've already lost. You don't have to start from scratch. You just need to come home to yourself. Maybe an old photo will help, one where you're smiling without fear of self-judgment. Look at her, with care, with tenderness, and ask in silence, what does this woman still long to live? The answer may not come in words, but it will come, because your soul never forgot. It was only waiting for you to remember too. There's a moment when the cycle can stop. Not with shouting, not with violent breaks, but with tenderness. You don't need to burn it all down. Just interrupt what's dimming your light, because staying the same isn't always love. Sometimes it's just fear of upsetting others, fear of being unrecognized, of breaking an invisible pact with the past. But there is a way to honor your mother that doesn't require repetition. It requires presence. It requires truth. Living differently might be the greatest tribute you can offer her. It's saying, through your own life, Mum, I can go where you couldn't. Maybe she dreamed it quietly. Maybe she hoped for you, deep in her heart, even if she couldn't say it, even if she never had the courage to live for herself. And now, what she didn't live can still bloom through you. You're not a faded continuation. You're the new page she never had time to write. The story doesn't have to end with an inherited full stop. It can carry on with a comma of courage, a small choice, a deeper breath. Look around. Feel the now. You're still here, and that alone is a new beginning. The time wasn't lost. It was just waiting for your return. Return to yourself. Return to your truth. If there's one gesture that could seal it all, it's a step. Small. Yours. Yours alone. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But let it come with soul, with presence, with truth. Because despite everything, you still have time. Time to begin again. Time to remember. Time to live in your own way. And that changes everything. What you inherited doesn't have to be what you carry. The patterns that keep you stuck aren't cruelty. They're just attempts to love the only way we were taught. But love doesn't have to hurt so much. And loyalty doesn't have to cost your identity. You can be grateful, look back with respect, and still move forward differently. The cycle ends with you, not as rupture, but as reconciliation. It's an act of quiet courage. That moment when you look inward and say, now it's my turn. And maybe the woman who raised you, the one who taught you to be strong, also dreamed this for you, even if she never managed to say it. You don't have to undo her to find yourself. Just let love continue in another form, lighter, freer, more yours. You are the new page, not to erase what came before, but to write what still longs to be lived. And even if it feels late, even if everything around says it's not worth it anymore, your body still breathes, your heart still beats, your soul still calls. Life hasn't ended, but the time of postponing yourself, maybe that has. Take a step. It doesn't have to be big, but let it be true. You still have time. Time to come back to yourself. Time to live in your own name, with your own voice, with your own light. And that is already the beginning of everything. If you felt touched by this message at any moment, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and see you in the next video.